For what?
Oh, you're not.
I should have called you now.
If it maybe changed my email.
All right, good evening, everyone. I'm going to call this meeting to order. If you all please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, roll call, please.
Alderman Osteen?
Here.
Alderman Rose?
Here.
Alderman Collins?
Here.
Alderman Rucker?
Here.
Alderman Varela? Here. Alderman Hoffman?
Here.
Mayor Harmonson?
Here. All right, we have a full house tonight.
Got it. Okay.
Appreciate everybody being here. We're going to start off with the citizens' communication. This is a time set aside on the agenda for citizens and visitors to address the mayor and the board on any topic that is not a public hearing. For those here in person, speakers will be restricted to 3 minutes unless otherwise permitted. Minutes may not be donated or transferred from one speaker to another. Any questions or comments for the mayor and the board may be sent to the city clerk at tberreth@osagebeach.org no later than 10 a.m. on the board meeting day, the first and third Thursday of each month. Submitted questions and comments may be read during the citizens' communication section of the agenda. The Board of Aldermen will not take any action on any item not listed on the agenda, nor will it respond to questions, although staff may be directed to respond at a later time. The mayor and the board welcome and value the input and feedback from the public. Is there anyone here who would like to come and address the board? Mr. Schuman, come on up. You'll have 3 minutes.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Good evening, Mayor and Board of Aldermen. Thank you for the.
We're just listening to it.
What's it? Oh. But my name is Lee Schuman. I've already signed in, and I'm one of the members of the Osage Beach Special Road District.
Hold on just a second. Please keep your mics off until we get to your segment. Thank you.
And so currently I'm serving as the treasurer, and we received the notification about Bill 2548 on your agenda, the Anglers Outpost project. And I'm not speaking on behalf of the Special Road District, and that's one of the things is it'd be nice if we had more time to discuss this as a district. We only meet every third Wednesday of each month, and so by the time we received notification, we weren't able to put it on our agenda just to discuss it to see how we want to respond with the city as one of the property tax collecting entities. And so I would just appreciate it if it could be tabled for an additional meeting for the Board of Aldermen. That way we could consider it and have it on our agenda for discussion. So that's all I had. Thank you.
All right, thank you much. Is there anybody else who would like to come and address the board? All right, seeing none, we're going to move on to the minutes from the board meeting from May 15th, 2025, and the bills list from June 5th, 2025. Do you have any comments, questions, or concerns?
Some dude from one of the taxing districts just showed up. He's objecting.
All right, if you would, could you put your mic on mute for those that are calling in, please?
Oh, yeah. Should be a good watch, though.
Hey, Dan Buck, can you hear me? If you could put your mic on mute until we get to you folks, that'd be great. All right.
Good job,
Any
Mike.
comments, questions, or do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. We have no unfinished business tonight. So we're going to move on to the new business. I know. We were busy 2 weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago, I guess. All right, first item of business is Bill 25-48, an ordinance of the City of Osage Beach, Missouri, to issue its taxable industrial revenue bonds for Anglers Outpost Project, Series 2025, in a principal amount not to exceed $13 million for the purpose of providing funds to pay the cost of acquiring, constructing, and improving an industrial development project in this city, and authorizing the city to enter into a certain agreement and take certain other actions in connection with the issuance of bonds. This is the first reading. I'm going to turn it over to our city attorney, Cole Bradbury.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the board. Mark Spikerman from Gilmore and Bell is here as well. I'll give you a brief introduction to the project, and I'll let Mark take over to explain the intricacies of the $13 million in taxable industrial revenue bonds. So this, as you're familiar, we approved a term sheet a few weeks ago for Engler's Outpost. This is the parcel behind and adjacent to the Dollar General, south of the KK and Osage Beach Parkway stoplight. This is a unique concept. There is not currently one in existence in the United States, so this is a new project. It is a hotel concept built around and geared towards anglers, fishermen, who have boats and trailers and pickup trucks, some of which are quite expensive and have tens of thousands of dollars of electronics in them. And so this is a project geared towards accommodating them in pull-through garages with hotel suites upstairs above them. They approached us last year about this. It has been through the city's standard review process with myself, Mark, and Columbia Capital. And staff does recommend approval, and I'll turn it over to Mark to explain the details of what the request is and how the financing works.
Thank you, Cole. Once again, Mark Spikerman, Gilmore and Bell, bond counsel to the city. The incentive program that this ordinance is attempting to use is referred to as Chapter 100, per Chapter 100 of the Missouri statutes. The ordinance on its face authorizes the issuance of bonds for the project. However, those bonds are not the same type of bonds that would be issued to fund a city hall or build a school. These are bonds solely for the purpose of facilitating tax abatement. The project, if built, title to that project would be transferred to the city, making it tax exempt, and then leased back to the developer for the tax abatement period. During that lease period, the developer would make what we call payments in lieu of taxes. So although it's tax exempt, he's essentially paying portion of the taxes that would be due through those contractual payments in lieu of taxes. In all years of the abatement period, he'll pay the base year taxes, which are roughly about $4,000 right now. In years 1 through 10, 95% of any increased taxes would be abated, so he'll pay 5% of whatever those increased taxes are. If, and Mr. Buck, who's on the line here, can talk more about the difference between phase 1 and phase 2. Phase 1 is the first 24 suites. If they get to phase 2 and they build phase 2, they will get an additional 5 years of abatement that steps down 75%, 60%, 45%, 30%, 15%. So you could have, if everything is built, you could have a maximum of 15 years abatement. If only phase 1 is built, then it's just 10 years abatement. The ordinance, I've got a printed out copy here. It's pretty thick. It includes all the documents related to both the payment or the construction of the project, the abatement terms, the bond terms, the leases that go back and forth between the city and the developer. I've prepared it all. Cole's reviewed it. It includes standard indemnification, insurance provisions to make sure that the city is fully protected. And with that, I know it's a complicated transaction, so I'm happy to answer any questions.
Comments or questions from the board? Alderman Osteen.
These are not questions directed to Mr. Spikerman or representative of. So I've got a few comments I'd like to make, please. First of all, I think I speak on behalf of the board that we are all in agreement that we would like to see this project move forward. I think we all fully support it. We're all behind it, but there are some concerns. I do applaud the developers for basically bringing a proposal to the city for a piece of property that has limited appeal and limited viability for commercial development. So kudos to them for bringing something to the board that obviously will not only be profitable for them as a business, but will have a domino effect on revenue for the city as well as our businesses within the city. With that being said, though, I believe that there are members of the board that still have some concerns or questions on how this motion is being presented to the board. I have one in specific that I want to address right now. One of the most valuable lessons I've learned in all my years in the mortgage industry is regardless of someone's creditworthiness or their income or their intent, you must always apply what is called the worst case scenario rule to a transaction. Basically, you must look at what is the worst case scenario if that individual were to default on the loan. Because ultimately, the property is the collateral for that loan. The way this is being presented to the city, basically, we ultimately are the owners of that property. So I must look at our financial risks and our long-term implications for the city and our taxpayers. So by applying this rule or this thought to this transaction, once again, the city ultimately is the legal owner of that property, which we are leasing to the developer. God forbid, worst case scenario, once again, that if they were to default on their obligations or contractual agreements to the city, what is the city left holding? It goes back to the property.
Yeah.
By granting the Chapter 100, we've already stated that it is a blighted or a piece of property that has limited appeal for development. So suddenly we have a piece of property that we have verbatim stated has little appeal for resellability. So that basically raises red flags to be right there.
You mind if I step in? Because I can address some
Go
of
ahead.
those. First of all, the title to the property as structured here would not transfer to the city until the building's actually complete, until phase 1 is complete. So it'll be a nice piece of property at that point. Second of all, these documents will work in tandem with the mortgage that they'll get to have their private financing. to
Excuse me,
construct the
Mark, could you
project.
speak a little more into the mic? My hearing aids aren't getting.
Oh, no problem.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I was saying these documents here will work in tandem with their private financing documents, the bank they go get a loan from. And if they were to default on a loan payment to the bank, the practical solution, which we would expect, but we always guard against safeguards, but the practical solution we would expect would be that the lender would step in, they would foreclose, they would take over the developer's interest in the property and either continue to operate it as a hotel or sell it to someone else in order to satisfy their loan. If the lender did not do that and the developer did not pay its abated portion of non-abated taxes, the payments in lieu of taxes, the city's remedy there, the main remedy would be that you declare a default and the developer is obligated to take the property back. So the city says, okay, it's not ours anymore, it's yours. Guess what? Now it's subject to 100% full taxation and whatever else you got going on with your bank.
Okay, and this is written verbatim in the motion being presented to us,
It is-
correct?
it is
As far
included.
as our responsibility and our
I will tell you,
future.
as your legal counsel, it is in the inch and a half thick of
So
pieces
it
of
does
paper.
address that, which is
Yep.
one of my biggest concerns was, what is our liability should, worst case scenario, there is a default? How are we exposed? What does that do to us financially?
Yeah, our goal is to, in the event of the default, is to not have it be your problem, to get it either the lender takes over and solves problems, or it goes back to the developer and it's their problem.
Okay,
And in the meantime, we do, developer's responsible for maintaining insurance on the property. He's got to name the city as an additional insured. He's got to indemnify the city against any loss.
Okay.
So we've done our best to make sure that any risk to the city is minimized.
okay. That is just one of the concerns I have.
Yep.
Moving on. I personally have never been supportive or a fan of the board as a general practice approving first readings with the assumption that items will be addressed or cleared up by the second reading. Because at the end of the day, I'm still approving a motion or an ordinance I don't approve. So I have some issues with how the process generally works for us as a board. I would rather see something come to us with a first reading that we would all agree to, not basically pick apart and think, okay, it'll be cleaned up on the second reading. With that being said, I'm going to make a motion to table this proposal. I'm not going to make it right now, though, because I would like to give the rest of the board an opportunity to basically voice any concerns or issues they have that need to be addressed. Because once again, I do not like the process of signing my name as a yes to something that we're assuming is going to get cleaned up. I just don't think that is good business practice. But I don't want to give the rest of the board, I don't want to take away their opportunity to give or voice their opinions or concerns, that should we move forward with tabling the motion, that they basically have given directives to say, let's address these before it comes back to a first reading.
Alderman Osteen, what needs cleaned up?
I've got a whole list of things that we probably need to discuss, but I'm giving the rest of the board opportunities.
No, but I mean, you said you don't want to vote on this because you don't want to vote on something that you think.
I don't want to vote on a first reading knowing that there's issues and concerns, because I don't want to sign my name to a yes on something I don't support.
I
As
understand.
is.
What needs cleaned up?
Well, that is going back to the board with concerns and issues that they have regarding percentages, regarding liability, et cetera. I'm giving them the opportunity to say, if you've got issues with this motion as it's being presented to us, speak on them now and give them opportunities to basically address that in the verbiage or address that before it comes to a first reading.
All right, Alderman Rucker.
First of all, Bob, you are correct in your statement that that from what I understand from conversation I've had, that the board is in support of the project. You're not correct in the fact that some of us have concerns, because some of us do not, and some of us are ready to vote this through tonight, and I am one of them. Okay, I don't know if there's anybody else, but I am one. So your statement on that behalf was not quite correct. Couple of things I want to address. First of all, your situation, which not liking first and second readings, this is a heck of a time to bring that up. We've been doing that procedure forever, and that's the way government does business. That's the way this city has done business. And if you've not felt comfortable with that, this is not the right time for me, I'm concerned, to bring this up, because that's what we do. That's the way, that's the process. Your first reading is out there, number one, for the public to hear it, and for the public to contact us and tell us something they don't like about it, and we react to that and make those changes sometime during the two meetings to bring an amendment. That's the process. There has never been a first reading, and I've been 100% sold in my mind that I'm going to vote favor on the second reading, because something may happen between now and then that is not information I have. So if you're not good with that process, you've got a problem, because that is the process. That's what it's made for. We try not to have a lot of changes, but there is time, and that's what it's for. If not, we'd be doing the first and second reading in the same night, and we specifically don't do that because of that reason, for people and us to have opportunity to rethink it and to come up with things like you say you have questions and issues. That's what the time is between the first and the second reading to do. So those, if you haven't had your other issues addressed up to this point, that's the reason there's time between the first and second reading. Mr. Schuman, I would like to say, address your comments. This is the first reading. You know, I'm sure you understand the procedures. So I appreciate the fact that your district, taxing district, has not had opportunity to meet and bring forward whatever concerns or questions you have. But again, I say to you the same thing. You have your meeting hopefully between now and our next meeting, and would be able to formulate whatever questions, comments you have and bring those to us before our next meeting. I don't know if you're going to have a meeting before our next meeting or not, but that would be the time for you to address those. If you're not, then you have a legitimate concern that we should consider if you're not going to be having opportunity to address that with your meeting. And I'm sorry, it's time for me to speak to you. You can't speak back to me, but that's the procedures. Moving on, I would like to say that I believe that Mr. Spykerman could not put his finger exactly on your answer that maybe you wanted to look for. I'm sure between now and the next meeting, he would be able to find the exact verbiage. I trust him. I trust in him enough that if he says it's in there, I believe it's there. That's why we hired him as our counsel, and that's why we hire Mr. Cole as our counsel. And so if they say that it's in the document we're covered, I'm good with that. But that's a legitimate concern. I appreciate that concern that you bring up. But
It's in Article 11 of the lease. It just needs some translation from legalese into plain English.
I feel comfortable with that. I would like to go on record of the fact that I am in favor of this project. I'd like to bring up a couple reasons why I'm in favor of this project. Number one, number of years ago, we put out guidelines on taxing, mainly TIF is what it was, to be very honest, it was TIF, but it's ways that governmental taxing organizations could assist in activities or projects. A couple of the things that we pointed out in there that this program meets is very pleasing to me. I didn't know it did meet them because it is a little bit different language, but I visited with our attorney, and he's assured me that the information that I was looking for is there. And that's number one, we asked for the time frame to be in TIFs no more than 15 years, even though they can be 23 years, and we have allowed 20, but this was our guideline. This one is 15 years maximum, maybe only 10. So it meets that guideline that we set forth a number of years ago. Number two, we asked that the taxing entities support, financial support, be less than 15% is what we would prefer. This one, from what I understand, is around 12.
Mark knows that. We'll have that closer at his fingertips than I will.
Yeah, looking here.
12%?
I think it's 12.
I think that's
That's
correct.
about right.
Yeah.
It's under the 15.
Right. It's the gross value of the abatement, so not discounting it for net present value,
Right.
is about 1.6 million out of a $13 million, $12 million project.
So it's met those kind of guidelines that we said we wanted to have. Some other guidelines that was talked about, I don't know if they're for sure for written, is the fact that for special type unique projects. I really think this fits that criteria. It's a special unique project. Also, a number of years ago, Alderman Rose worked very diligently to try to help out this side of town because of the suffering that occurred when the new highway came in. This does that. This is something that does that. Where is it at? On this side of town where we've been wanting to build up the traffic. This is going to bring more traffic to this side of town because of that. There's another reason why I think it's a good project and it needs to be supported by us. Its uniqueness, it's 15 years and less, it's under the 15%, it's on the west side helping out the town. I think it's a good project. I think we should approve the first reading, and if there's questions you have, that's great, ask them. We've got till the next reading. Let's keep it moving. Let's not put another 2 weeks off before these folks are going to be able to start putting shovels into the ground. I support it. Thank you.
Alderman Hoffman.
Well, let me just address most of what Kevin just said. Alderman Rucker. Alderman Owenstein said some of the board. He didn't say every board, so he wasn't exactly saying that, speaking for you, I don't think. I have a lot of questions about this, and I agree with what Alderman Osteen said. I like this project. This is over in my ward. This checks a lot of boxes. It also checks a lot of boxes that raises red flags for me. I was just able finally to speak to some of the school board members, including the president of the board today, and he had the same question I did. We were pretty aggressive with how we did the apartments on a Chapter 100, and that was tiered, I believe, at 100, 75, 50, 25, correct?
Yeah, it was Chapter 353, but it's an abatement.
Okay.
Now, and I do want to point out that those percentages were of all taxes. They were not, so there was no, so the 100 for the first 5 years, what it means the school got zero off of, the taxing districts get zero from that property. There's no guarantee of the existing taxes continuing.
Right, okay. So these could be comparable in numbers. It could be, I look at it, I think it's a little bit sweeter deal than the apartments, but they're probably close. I'll grant that. It's a little concerning to me that there's no clawbacks in this, that if we're incentivizing this project and a windfall of profits comes, why is there not clawbacks included that reduce the abatement down more so that we're not continuing, the taxpayers not continuing to fund a project that is in the green? And I, as a taxpayer, would have a problem with that. I think helping with the startup is great.
We talked about that today. If you don't mind, Cole can answer that right now.
I'm ready to,
Well,
whatever. I don't want to interrupt him.
No,
I'll
but-
answer that question when you're
And I
ready.
assume that's the conversation you and I had earlier. Right. So for me, I like this project. It's in my ward, checks a lot of boxes. But I do think that we were handed this pretty quickly. I don't feel like the board was really brought along in the process. I think it was kind of dropped on us 2 weeks ago. Not saying anyone did anything wrong, but I felt like we're scrambling to understand it. And as you hold up that thick document there, this isn't like we're all just specialists at Chapter 100s. So that's why I am in support of tabling this, giving us 2 more weeks to look at it, see if the financials are acceptable, and is this fair to our taxpayers? And I'm not convinced that it is.
Cole, you want to answer the clawbacks, please?
Sure. So we actually had clawbacks in an earlier draft of this. Frankly, the way they would have worked, they were not terrible. They didn't make a big financial impact because of the way the math was going to work. They were going to get credit for early deficits they were going to run during construction. But we had those in when the request was 100%, 100%, for 15 years plus the step down after that. And we negotiated and Jeff White and Columbia Capital approved of the incentive at that level at that time with clawbacks. And essentially we negotiated 5 years less abatement in exchange for taking out the clawbacks. And the clawbacks weren't going to make a very big financial difference to any of the taxing districts because of netting out the losses and the gains, if that makes sense.
It does, and I can appreciate that. It could be that the clawbacks, weren't going to be any better. Maybe the deal is about the same. I don't know, but that's again something that we just found out. Something else I have an issue with here is this project. What are they all in at? 13 million? Is that what this project is?
Phase one and two.
Okay, why are we stretching this out over 20 years? I mean, I understand a project that's $489 million getting stretched out over 23 years. But a project that's 13 million, which is this, why does it take so long for it to, is there not a plan that could be a 10-year plan?
It's not financing. It's 10 years of abatement, so it's 10 years of
Right,
payments they're not making.
But it doesn't have to be over 20 years, does it?
It's only 10. It's 10 with a 5-year step down. So it's 10 or 15. There's no 20.
Okay, so 10 years at 95%.
Right.
But I thought you said there was another possibility of.
5 additional
Yeah.
if phase 2 is completed, which, and that is a clawback. And essentially, we're agreeing to the extra 5 years, but if they don't do what they've promised, which is to build phase 2, they don't get that 5 years.
Right, and the thought process is that if they're finishing phase.
Years to build phase 2, then they only get 10 years of phase 2.
Okay, but if all of that lands, we're at 20 years, correct?
No.
We're at 15?
If everything goes right, we are done at 15.
Cole and I, for a second, please.
If everything goes exactly according to plan, it's 15.
Okay. So
There is no way it goes beyond 15. It is either 10 years or 5, and regardless, so the abatement starts once we don't take title until it.
Right, if they were to, for instance, complete it in December of this year, city would take title, and abatement would begin in January of '26.
Okay.
That would be year 1.
And so, and is the thought process here that if they're going into phase 2, we're in a really good spot. The city's in a good spot. The school's in a good spot. Everyone's kind of hitting a home run at that point. Is that the thought process?
Doesn't have to be a home run for them to build phase 2, but the project is clearly successful enough for them to want to continue to invest in it.
Okay.
If that's fair. But that could be a single or a double. That doesn't mean that they've knocked it out of the park.
Okay.
It's just meeting expectations.
So now that being said, is Mr. Buck, are you listening? Because I would like to know, and I think Alderman Osteen was maybe going to lead into this, but I'll throw it out there. I'd kind of like to know more about their marketing and what they think they're bringing here as far as what tournaments they're targeting. Anything you can give us would be great.
Yeah, and I have Tom Yeah, and I also have Tom Lloyd on, who is participating in many of those tournaments, knows the circuits very well. So I'll let him specifically address how we target and market to the tournaments. Tom, are you able to jump on there? Tom Jr.? Tom Jr., you're...
I can, yeah, Dan. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, so really the biggest thing that we're going to be looking to is just working with existing tournaments, but also brand new tournaments. So we're talking the biggest of the big. So the AAA, the major league level of tournaments, to bring that type of exposure to Osage Beach. Not only those, but also any other tournament organizations that otherwise would be going to, let's say, Table Rock or other locations to come to Lake of the Ozarks because of the accommodations that we're creating. So ultimately, it's going to be through social media marketing, of course. It's going to be through word of mouth advertising. It's going to be through advertising through other means in the economy, just in general in the fishing industry. And ultimately, the whole idea is to utilize this first Osage Beach location in order to bring people from other areas even to the Midwest and to Osage Beach. So it's a huge part for us. And not only that, but really bringing other tournaments that we want occupancy, obviously. So we're going to bring tournaments on days that aren't otherwise considered tournament days. So whether that's, days in the off season where we can bring a tournament on a Monday or a Wednesday, or having, contractors tournaments, electricians tournaments and plumbers tournaments, things like that, to where they can do those during the week and have other corporate events coming to this as well. We haven't even touched on any of that. Dan, I'll turn it back over to you to kind of talk about the executive trips and things like that we have planned as well.
Yeah, obviously, tournaments occupy so many of the weekends during the year, not just bass, but also there's a lot of big crappie tournaments, and there's a lot of other types of events. But we also will be putting together huge corporate packages and offering customer appreciation events for various companies from throughout the Midwest. That'll be all inclusive. We'll have golf packages. We'll have team building exercises. We'll have a lot of different things that will really focus on that corporate crowd and the folks for Monday through Friday, Monday through Thursday, before the fishermen come in. So we've got a full marketing strategy, a marketing plan that takes us through all the web and hotel lodging, social media channels. We'll be working with influencers on the social media world, talking about our venue, and of course using the traditional Convention and Visitors Bureau, which of course at Lake of the Ozarks has been hit pretty hard with the change in the hotel tax and them struggling a little bit with money. We know we're going to have to work a lot on our own to make sure we're filling our dates and getting the occupancy to make this financially and fiscally feasible. But hopefully the Convention and Visitors Commission will figure out a way to get some revenue back into the tourism marketing budget there at Lake of the Ozarks. And we, of course, will work very closely with that.
So I know you can't, or you wouldn't want to say what specific tournaments you might be targeting. I understand there's probably confidentiality and NDAs involved with that. But do you feel confident that there are tournaments we don't have now that you will help to bring by being down here?
Absolutely, without question.
Okay, and that is that laid out in your marketing plan?
As you mentioned, not specifically to the individual tournaments, but bringing more tournaments to the lake, absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Well, that's, again, I'm with Alderman Osteen on this. I would like 2 more weeks to work on this project. I do like the project a lot. I appreciate everyone's hard work on it. It is in my ward. It hits fishing, which I'm very passionate about. I'm just not convinced that, I just feel like we might be going a little too far with the sweetheart deal on it, on the financials. So that's why I'd like 2 more weeks, and I will support Mr. Osteen's table if he decides to go that route.
All right, I'm going to step in here and talk and then ask for Alderman's other opinions. I just want to address a few concerns. Obviously, if it comes down to 3-3, I'm the only one that would break that tie. But I will just tell you this. I have worked with the developers and Mark and Cole for months and months and months. I don't want to say quite a year yet. This has all been very public. It's been out in the newspaper, it's been out in the press, it's been on social media. 3 weeks ago, we had discussions for I don't know how long with the developers here. All of this has been a negotiation process, and all the things that you said, Alderman Osteen, about, and Alderman Hoffman, things we need on this end. Alderman Rose, you're exactly right. This end of the bypass has been horrible. What was it, 15 years ago that went in? For the last 15 years or so, all of the taxing districts have received the revenue based on the value of that road, that property. Nobody in the last 15 years has said they want to come in and develop that. So all the taxing districts have received the same thing for 15 years. What these developers are saying is for the next 10 years, they're going to receive the same thing they received for the last 15 years, plus another 5%. So they're going to get everything they've got for the last 15 years. The next 10 years, they're going to get all of that plus another 5%. And then after year 11, it's going to go up drastically. Another thing, addressing the schools. There are no kids. This is not a housing complex. There are no kids that are going to live in this place, so you don't need any extra funds to educate those kids. So the taxing to the school is going to receive the 5% more than they received the last 15 years, and they're going to get it forever. And in year 11 and on, it's going to just jump. The taxing revenue that this will bring to the community, thousands and thousands of people coming here to fish, to spend money at the stores, to shop, for boating, thousands of dollars. I would venture to say that Mark Spikerman and Jeff White have more financial knowledge than any of us put together. And I don't mean that, I'm just saying this board has selected those two organizations to use their expertise to go through these documents page by page by page, using the developer's money to do that to protect the city. They have looked, that thick document is for stuff for us not to understand, it's for attorneys to understand. Alderman Osteen, you talked about what happens if they go belly up. Are we stuck with this property? Nope. It goes right back to the developer. We're protected there. 3 weeks ago, we all had the opportunity to look at this. We all had to delve into it. We had the opportunity to look at all of that. I don't know what 2 more weeks, is any one of us going to be able to look at that document and say, you know what, you guys missed this. These guys have done this for many, 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 many. They know what they're doing. You take 5% more, plus the fact that it's going to be property that nobody has, to my knowledge, has put a bid on for the last 15 years. I just don't think that waiting 2 weeks, anybody here is going to come up with anything different than these people here that we've hired to protect the city and bring thousands of dollars to our taxing districts, thousands of new tourists. I love this idea. It's great for the city of Osage Beach. I honestly don't know what 2 weeks is, who's going to go in there and pick apart these experts. I'm in total support of this. I think this is great for our community. And my suggestion would be if your board would pass it tonight, take a look for the next 2 weeks. And if you want to look through that document, I mean, do it. But they've been waiting for months and months and months. We've been very transparent about this whole process. As soon as this deal is done, they can have bulldozers going. I don't know what waiting 2 weeks is going to do to, if you want to pass it tonight, I support you. Obviously, this is a board decision. Before we proceed any longer, I'm in total support of this. I think we should pass it tonight. And if you have some questions, use the next 2 weeks. But we've paid a lot of money using developers' money to give them, and they said this is a good deal for the city, and this is a good deal. Alderman Breland.
I guess my question's for Lee. Lee, would the special road district have a meeting before our second vote?
Our next meeting is the day before.
Okay.
Day before. So they would have time to put input in. Okay.
And I sent Lee an email, but Lee, I sent you an email. If you want to ask any questions, I'm more than happy to talk to you about it. So,
Alderman Rose.
Yes, obviously it's in my ward as well as Alderman Hoffman. And for that reason, I'm in favor of any kind of development coming in on the west side because it's been a long time coming. It was very, very confusing, and it still is in many ways, of going through the thousands of pages, and I'm exaggerating, but a lot. which is why the other day, I met with our attorney, and he was very, very good about explaining in detail, especially somebody to me that was all layman, just didn't understand it, but he made it very clear, and I felt very comfortable. Then I got to thinking, and then you've answered it tonight, but I was thinking, if we're holding the deed to the property, then does that make us liable if there's any accidents or whatever, you know? And that's where I thought, wait a minute, we don't want to have that. But, so I understand that we would not be, is that correct?
That's correct. You would be insured by the developer, or you'd be indemnified by the developer, and you would still have your sovereign immunity defense, which I'm sure Cole can give you a 101 on sometime.
So would we have to be additionally insured?
You're an additional insured, and they have to have over $3 million of insurance, up to the sovereign immunity limits.
We have every layer of protection that we can have there. I mean, we use our sovereign immunity aggressively here, and it's our best defense.
And I definitely understand your concerns here, and it is unfortunately a very thick set of documents, but this is a structure that is used dozens of times throughout the state every year by municipalities east and west sides of the state.
Well, I was hesitating here for a while, but I'm in support of it. Let's go for it.
Yes, sir. And if I can add, we've talked about Chapter 100. Mark just mentioned a good point. This gets used quite a bit. The one you all know that Chapter 100 was used for was Quaker Windows in Eldon. That was a Chapter 100. So that was the incentive they used. I don't know if you worked on that one or not, or if that was Dave.
One of my partners did, yeah.
Yeah, that was Dave. But that one was, I'm guessing, longer than 10 years.
Yeah, that was probably a 20-year. Jefferson City's used it a lot. I worked on one for the middle school that actually was damaged by a tornado downtown in Jefferson City, and some of my partners have done some of the more industrial plants in the area. Columbia's used it, St. Louis, Kansas City, obviously.
Any other comments? Alderman Osteen.
Oh, yeah. First of all, I think the conversation Alderman Hoffman just had and the statement Alderman Morose just had supports the fact that as a board, a lot of us are still trying to wrap our heads around the details of this whole transaction. I mean, those two conversations there were basically still us fleshing out the minute details that we still haven't wrapped our head around. So it really supports the fact that I'm saying there are questions and concerns. And therefore, I felt like a lot of this has been dumped on us in a very shortened time frame for us to wrap our heads around it and ask those questions. I think it's telling that Mr. Schuman got up here and spoke that there are other taxing entities with the city that are asking us to table this as well, because they're still trying to formulate and get their position together on this. And yes, they will meet the evening before our next meeting, but that gives them 24 hours to basically come to the city with their concerns and get their questions answered. I think that's something we should take into heart as well. Because, okay, you meet the night before. Okay, well, come back to us the next day. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't give them much time either to flesh out their concerns or to get questions answered behind the scenes. To reference something Alderman Rucker stated to me earlier, I have sat on this dais and said verbatim, I am not comfortable with passing first readings with the assumption that we're going to clean it up for the second reading. I have said that before, so this is not the first time I've stated that. So I just want to make clear on that I have verbatim stated I don't like the process on how that goes sometimes, with basically vote now, we'll figure it out later. That's not the way I like to work. That's not something I want my name behind to support something that has multiple flaws or questions or concerns with the assumption we'll figure it out later. Anyway, with that being said, I am going to move forward with with a motion to table this first reading. I don't know if anybody else wants to interject or make comments before I make that motion. I will open it up to the board, but that is my firm stance that I think the conversation we've had tonight supports the fact that we are still trying to wrap our head around this whole motion and basically get our questions answered.
We have a motion on the floor.
I'm not making the motion yet.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you did. All right, Alderman Collins.
So, kind of like everybody else, I very much support the project. I think I'm really quite excited about it. I think it's going to be fantastic. I'm also the newbie, and this is all rather confusing to me. So I've spent a lot of time since this was brought up 3 weeks ago trying to learn this entire mechanism. And like Alderman Osteen said, just tonight, we've encountered questions that I hadn't even gotten to yet. Mayor Harmison, you said that what are we going to find over the next 2 weeks that the professionals did not find? And the answer is probably nothing. I'm not looking, I don't want to micromanage or double check their work. I'm just trying to get comfortable. So and I'm not there yet. There's a lot of things here that I just don't yet understand. So I would absolutely support Alderman Osteen tabling of it for 2 weeks. I understand, I was once on that side of a board, and I understand the frustration of having to wait 2 weeks for an answer. I'm just not comfortable yet, so.
Any other comments? Alderman Hoffman.
Yeah, I'd like to address what the mayor said. Yes, these are professional financial people, and they're very good at their jobs. That's why we hired them. Our job is to interpret their presentation to us and determine if it's good for our citizens and our taxpayers. I'm not there yet. That's why I want 2 more weeks. And it's obvious that Special Road District meets, and we're going to give them 24 hours. I just talked to the school board finally today. They didn't really know much about this project, and they don't get a vote. But I think it's fair to say that their input is important and valuable. And I would just like, Mr. Mayor, you've had months of negotiations with them, and it's great that you guys have gotten this far. But you've had months to do it. And now we've been trying to get through it in a week or two. And I think it's fair for us to ask for 2 more weeks. So that's why I'm in support of Mr. Osteen.
Any other Alderman Osteen.
I will go ahead and make the motion to table the reading or approval of the first reading for bill number 25-48.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Alderman Hoffman. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
All right, it's been tabled. Thank you much, Mr. Spikeman. Next, we have motion to approve the purchase of 6 16.8 horsepower and 2 12 horsepower pumps for a total of $82,306.50 plus shipping. Mr. Fisher.
Good evening. These are pumps that are going to be.
Oh, I already know they're going to have you talk louder.
Okay. These are pumps. These are pumps that are going to be used in 3 different pump stations. Let's try this. Is it better?
Yes.
Okay.
It's your first time. We'll give you the benefit of the doubt.
Well, my voice doesn't carry very far, so I apologize. These pumps will be used in 3 different pump stations, 3 of the 170-ish lift stations that the city owns, not including the grinder stations that we've heard a lot about too. So it's just a matter of purchasing pumps that can be, we've experienced stations when the pumps go down and they don't operate as well. So Chris needs to be stocked with pumps that work. And I'll say that he and I have talked quite a bit, and I've talked with Devin about this. With 170 pumps, and this is for a community this size, that's a lot of pumps, and it's difficult to manage, and we need to get better about that. We'll program those out better in the future, but these will be important for these 3 pump stations. And we did an estimate earlier today, just to give you an idea of what those are worth. If we were to replace all 170 pumps today, it would be over $6 million.
How many?
So $6 million. So, and without them, we don't do very well, right? They're very important and critical to operations. So we appreciate your support.
All right, comments, questions from the board. Alderman Hoffman.
Are these going right in, or are these going to be in inventory?
I think they're going right in. There might be one that's sitting on the sideline.
So just per the conversation that you and I and Alderman Collins had when we stopped by your office the other day, do you feel like we don't have enough inventory of pumps here readily available that, we're having to order out, but it'd be nice to have more inventory here? Is that true?
We do need to get better at that. Yes, we need a little bit on the sideline.
So I'm just wondering, is this a good time to order more now? Or is this a stopgap, or are you looking at doing that later? Or?
If you'll give me and the team a little time, we'll work through that, and I can give you a better idea of what that program needs to look like.
Okay.
For now, we just need to get these pumps replaced.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
All right, any other comments? Alderman Osteen.
I'm not sure if you can answer this question. In the department comments, you stated that they're honoring the old pricing because there's new pricing in effect June 1st. Is there a dollar amount you could tell us how much we actually saved by them honoring the old pricing? Which goes back to Alderman Hoffman's question is, if we're getting old pricing, maybe we need more than 6.
Yeah, right. No, it's a fair question, but I don't have the answer to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Alderman Hoffman, is there a second? Alderman Barella. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Next, we have a motion to approve the purchase of a sewer inventory stock from Core and Main for $36,430.20. Again, Mr. Fisher.
Thank you. This is just simple inventory, keeping, similar to the last discussion, keeping the resources on hand that the team needs to continue to operate continuously.
Comments or questions? Alderman Rucker.
Jeff, I'm sorry, it may be in here, but is this a single source provider, or did we get multiple?
There's multiple.
Okay, that's all I needed. I couldn't remember seeing the spreadsheet, and maybe it's here, but I just overlooked it.
There should be 2.
Okay, I'm sorry, my bad.
All right, anyone else? Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve? Oh,
Alderman Barella. Do I have a second? Alderman Rucker. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Last item, we have a motion to approve the purchase of Microsoft 365 licenses from Communications Square in the amount not to exceed $41,137.70. Michael Bean.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the board. We came to the end of our contract with our previous MSP, which forced us to put an RFP out to purchase our email licensing, basically. We had 8 entities come back. We ended up deciding, Travis and I chose Communications Square. They've went through transitions very similar to ours, so this would just be continuing on with what we have right now and also give us room for growth as employees come and go. That is the reasoning for the little bit of extra on the back end at $41,137. This is a budgeted item, and I recommend approval.
Comments from the board? Alderman Osteen.
Did Foursquare become Communication Square? Was there a name change? Because I thought Foursquare was our previous provider. Or am I wrong in the name?
I think wrong name. Yeah,
That's it.
/ was our previous MSP who we purchased through at that time. When that contract ended, so did our licensing with that.
Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Anyone else? Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Alderman Rose. Do I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Collins. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion carries. All right, that's the end of our new business. We're going to move on to staff communications. We'll start with City Administrator Devin Lake.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the board. I want to welcome Jeff. He's been with us 2 weeks today. It's been great working with him. We seem to be pretty aligned on some things, so I'm happy about that, and I'm happy to have him, and that's all I have this evening.
All right, thank you. Assistant City Administrator April White.
Yes, Mayor, members of the board, I only have one thing. Happy birthday to building official Ron White.
That was good move.
Okay. City Clerk Tara Barrett.
Yeah, Mayor and members of the board, I have a few things. One, I wanted to congratulate Annie Wallander. She got her certified court administrator. She completed 4 years and over 100 hours to get that certification, and she's doing really well, so I'm very proud of her. Keegan Powers and I attended the International Municipal Clerks Association in St. Louis. Got some great training. It was excellent. Next week, Devin, myself, Rebecca, and Keegan will be going to elected officials training next Thursday and Friday, which leaves me with some really awesome news for you. Tomorrow night at 5 o'clock, all staff and board, if you have any changes that you want to have or anything you want added to the June 17th meeting is due tomorrow by 5 o'clock. So anything you want added to the agenda or packet needs to be to us by 5 tomorrow night, to me. And the packet will be delivered on June 11th because I will be out of town on the 12th and 13th. Also, we set up, Devin is going to be sending out the itinerary for our strategic planning, and she should be sending that out shortly, and that's July 23rd. So that'll be set up. And other than that, I think that's enough for me tonight.
All right, thank you
Thanks.
much. City Attorney Cole Bradbury.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, since April said happy birthday, building official Ron White, I'll say it. Happy birthday, honey. Continue to work on, obviously, the Anglers project. We're continuing to work through the bonding for Oasis. We are optimistic we'll have that to you sometime in the next few weeks. The city's done all of its stuff. We're just waiting on one bank, basically, but we're making good progress. I know it doesn't look like there's a lot of construction going there, but we should have things moving and financing closed sometime this summer. So we're working on that, and just want to let you know that that is still very much in the works. And we're working on it constantly behind the scenes. And that's all I have tonight.
All right, thank you, Chief David.
I just want to thank the board for allowing us to send a group of officers to National Police Week to honor Felicia and all the other officers that were put on the wall last month in May. We got to spend a lot of time with Grant and the kids and Felicia's parents and in-laws. It was a whirlwind of emotions during the week, but it was a good time and kind of helped us put a closure to that. And then the other thing, season 2 of Ozark Claws started, so they're out filming with us. So I rode with them for a little bit yesterday. So we didn't have anything, but just a rainy day.
Hey, Chief, did they, were they able to do it on the water too this year?
I don't believe that got through with the, I think the colonel was for it, but I think there were some legal issues with the attorneys.
Very good. All right. All right. Birthday boy.
Thank you. I appreciate all the names I'm getting called, especially yours, Cole. Just for clarification, I know that Lee was talking about the third Wednesday of the month being their next meeting. Now, we're the third Tuesday of the month because of Juneteenth. Isn't that correct? Correct. So they will not meet before us. Okay. That's all I have. Thank you. Really had a good time hanging out with you guys tonight.
Michael Bean.
Thank you, Mayor. Just one thing. I sent an email out today about some training. I've noticed a few of the board members, all of them being on that list of this training that needs to be.
Oh, yeah.
Did I miss one?
Whoa.
No, I
Alderman
apologize.
Rucker.
Alderman Rucker.
Wait a second.
Alderman Rucker.
Alderman Rucker made it.
Clarify the record. Alderman Rucker. But I just ask, it's about a 20-minute training. It is an intricate part of our insurance policy. They like to see that we're doing the training that we send out. So if you could, please get that training taken care of by the 10th when we will run our final report and hand it over to administration. If you need anything, any issues, please reach out to Travis or myself. We're happy to send the email out again and get the things set up for you. But again, it's a relatively easy training and it is really important. We had a small security blip with an email opened up last week, and I know it seems like just redundant, but every day they're after all of us. And with you guys having your names out there and in the positions that you are targeted just as much as we are. So if you could please complete that training and then look for the next one for quarter number 3. Thank you, guys.
All right, thank you much. Drew Bowen.
Yeah, the one thing I've got this evening is Mr. J.D. Delaney is started with the engineering department as our construction inspector for the city. So I'd like to give him a warm welcome, and if you have a chance, come down to the basement and come visit his office. We're right next door to each other.
Eric Gregory.
Yes, sir. I'd like to thank Jamie for a very well-done press release today. She announced the approval of the new multi-use trail in City Park. This is a cooperative effort with Missouri State Parks and City Park, and we plan on starting construction this winter and hopefully open in the spring. I'd also like to thank Alderman Morose and Representative Jeff Vernetti for helping speed the process along. So we're very excited. Another recreation opportunity in City Park will be happening. Park staff very busy right now, keeping up with Little League, slow pitch softball leagues, and now we have a church league, and it sounds like we may have a kickball league coming too. So if anybody likes to play kickball, talk to me later. Also have a few special events coming up. Next week, we have our annual fishing derby for kids. That's Wednesday, June 11th from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Free fishing event. We provide fishing poles and hot dogs and bottled water and even prizes, so bring the kids out. It's a free event. And then later on this month, June 27th, we'll have our second Parks Movie Night on Soccer Field 1, and we'll be showing The Goonies. So come on out and watch a movie in the park. That's all I have.
All right, thank you much. Airport, Ty Dinsdale.
I have nothing this evening, thank you.
All right, Carrie Bell.
Yes, Mayor and Board of Aldermen. The city's auditors completed their field work yesterday. They met with the mayor and the city administrator and some others, I think. So with that being said, we are on track to have this process done by the end of the month.
All right,
That's all I have.
All right, Public Works Director Jeff Fisher.
Thank you. I don't have much to say. I am happy to be here, and I'm enjoying it already. There is a good group in Public Works. They are working hard, and we will continue to work hard to exceed your expectations. We will do great things, and I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you much. All right, Kerry Patterson.
I have nothing tonight, Mayor.
All right. Oh, sorry, Jamie? If you're not up here, I forgot, I'm sorry.
Mayor and Board, I'm not allowed at the big kids table, so I'm going to come back here with Maddie. I do want to introduce the Public Information Officer, Holly Jarvis. She had to leave, but do welcome her if you see her. She has come in with a splash. I pretty much put her into the fire the first day. I made her go over to Public Works, and we did a calendar shoot of these guys and Stevie for National Public Works Week. So I expect to see that on everyone's computer for the next 12 months. But she has been great. She has jumped into it, and Ty won't tell you, but you please read the feature that Holly wrote about airports featuring Ty. It's a great read, something that needs to be showcased. She's got some good stuff coming up, and yeah, just welcome her and support what she's doing.
All right, thank you much. Maddie?
And I'm pretty sure airports is the next calendar shoot, right?
Yes.
Not much on the HR front. We have our staff safety picnic next week on Thursday. That'll be from 11 a.m. to 1:30, pretty sure. I've got like half a brain working, so bear with me. And happy birthday, Ron.
Happy birthday, Ron.
That's all from our corner. Back to you guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
We're at 10. And speaking of, Eric should be on KY3 tonight, so please tune in.
All right, Alderman Rucker. Alderman Rucker.
I didn't have anything until Mr. Michael called me on the spot, so I'm just going to go ahead and bring this up since you brought it up. My score is 717 out of 800.
Very well, sir.
So I am attending the training, and I will tell you, the training for those that haven't been doing it, you're missing out, because I share it with my wife, and it is helping out our home computer in a lot of ways, and this is very valuable training and very valuable information, and it's very worth your time and energy, and just for your home computer, much less I know it's going to help the city. So it's very good. That's all I have.
All right, thank you much. Alderman Barella.
I just had a question for Eric. What was the ages for the fishing tournament for the kids?
Usually little ones all the way up to 12, but I mean, we're not going to turn kids away.
Okay.
So, yeah, all ages, adults come out, go fishing, have fun.
happy birthday, Ron. I think that's it. I don't have anything else. Thank you, Mayor.
Alderman Hoffman.
So along the lines of the Anglers Outpost, Jamie has tracked down a fishing tournament that hopefully will be coming here next year. Behind the scenes, she's been working diligently on it, and she's brought me into the fold. You'll be getting some information on it this next week.
It should be in your emails right now.
Okay, excellent. And I'm only bringing it up now because Jamie's not going to be here at the next meeting. So, and I think it is going to be on the agenda. So just wanted to give you a heads up, take a look at it. It is a AAA event, so it's a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday in early March. It's just an absolute home run. So well done finding that. Happy birthday, Ron, class of 1991, Camden Lakers.
Jeez.
That's it.
Alderman Osteen.
Two things this evening. First, I think it's important to reiterate that there's not a single person on this dais that does not support the Anglers Outpost and will not approve it. Our biggest issues, or at least mine, were basically the time frame. And it's just basically making sure we are vetting and figuring out exactly the verbiage on what is being proposed before we move forward with this. Strictly, it's a timing issue, allowing us additional 2 weeks to basically ask the questions we have, raise the concerns we have, et cetera. But once again, I'd want to make it clear that nobody spoke negatively about this project. Nobody's against this project. We just wanted to basically to make sure we had our ducks in a row before moving forward. Secondly, I think it's important to remind the general public that tax incentives and tax abatements are not a one-size-fits-all. Any business, any developer can apply for tax incentives or tax abatements with the city, but they are geared specifically to the type of property you're wanting to develop, location of the property you're wanting to develop, et cetera. It's not a one-size-fits-all. So I want the public to realize that we are not basically just there's one model we're trying to cram it into for the tax incentives or abatements. There's been a lot of conversations basically trying to equate what the Anglers Outpost is trying to get approved versus previous incentives or abatements we gave to the apartments at the Preserve or the nursing home at Arrowhead. Once again, what's the common thing they all have there? They provide some sort of housing, but you can't equate an angler-centric hotel to a nursing home to an apartment complex. Obviously, they're very specific, and that's why we make our decisions moving forward with these type of tax incentives. They are specifically geared to those type of entities, which is why it's not a one-size-fits-all. The numbers are always going to be a little bit different based on risk factors, revenue, et cetera. So other than that, I'm done for the evening. Off my soapbox. And happy birthday, Ron.
Alderman Rose.
On another note, if any of you have not taken the drive down in our city park since the road has been paved, I mean, it's like night and day. I did it the other day and I went, I'm impressed. It just was very clean, very just well manicured, and all the way down to the dog park. And I thought, it's really coming together. Also, unfortunately, it's my understanding that, I don't remember the name of the piece of equipment that was purchased in Public Works to try to eliminate, again, the odor. I think use some type of bacteria that's supposed to be within the pumps or something. But I think they were installed, I was told, by Memorial Day weekend. And I'm still getting complaints that apparently it's not working either, from especially 2 different locations that have been very prominent with the odor. And on the other note, which I wondered about the flags. I know we had to order new flags for out here, and when are they supposed to be delivered or installed, or what's happening with that?
So the order has been placed with the manufacturer. They do not have a manufacturing date yet, and I do not have a start date yet from the contractor. Because the flagpoles weren't available for construction, the project was scheduled during a certain time frame, and they are relooking at their schedule when they can come back and complete the work. And that is somewhat dependent on when the bases and the flagpoles can be manufactured and delivered.
Okay.
But as soon as I have a hard date, I will definitely, or even a time frame, I will make sure to update the board.
Well, and it's unfortunate that the rain that we've had, with the mud and the rain, it's collected a lot, but I was just curious about that. And other than that, happy birthday, Ron. That's it. Thank you.
Alderman Collins.
First, I'll answer your question because I just asked Jeff the same question. And we've got about 7 to 10 more days before the bugs will know if they're effective or not. So fingers crossed. I'm super excited about the bike trails. I got the press release this morning and couldn't wait to send it to my husband and my kids. So everybody's really excited about that. I'm looking forward to the newly elected officials training next week. So thank you, Tara, for setting that all up. I plan to come back brilliant.
Or overwhelmed, one of the two.
Well, you know. Michael, I will do the training, except I seem to have locked myself out of my laptop. So if you could get me back in there.
It's part of the training.
I really need that brilliance training. And thank you, Chief, for making our city look good on TV. I hear all really, really positive things. And then lastly, happy birthday, Ron.
All right, thank you very much. I just have a few things. First of all, congratulations, Annie. I saw that. That was wonderful. So I know she works very hard. And if you're listening, Annie, congratulations. Also, happy birthday, Ron. Enjoy tonight. The other thing, too, just two more things quickly. On the vote tonight, Anglers Outpost, it's real important, I think, that everybody realizes that one thing about this board is we don't rubber stamp anything. And so we may have a difference of opinion up here. People may think it gets heated, but in the long run, everybody up here and everybody down here has the city's best interest. I believe that's a great project for the city of Osage Beach and for the so-called dead end. So I hope every board member takes a hard look at that. If you do have any questions, please reach out. We can disagree sometimes, but it's for the betterment of the city. So I encourage you to take a look at that. And just know out there, folks, that we don't rubber stamp anything. We do look at everything. We'll have difference of opinion. And one thing that we may disagree on does not deter us from agreeing on the next one. So we're pretty good about that. And the last thing is, this is more of a personal note. The next meeting is on Tuesday, the 17th. My wife Kim and I are leaving on the 18th, and we will not be back until the day before the next board meeting. So we're taking a 2-week trip. So if anybody has anything for me to sign, or one thing in the City of Osage Beach policy, and I know people sometimes question it, it may say in there, please allow up to 14 days to approve this or whatever. A lot of times we can do it that day. The reason that's in there is if I'm on vacation or Ron's on vacation or Carrie's on vacation, that's why it says please allow up to. So anybody that may be listening, if you need the mayor's signature or you have any questions, staff or Board of Aldermen, I'll be gone for about 2 weeks. We're actually, we have a couple family functions on Kim's side up at the Washington State and Idaho. We're actually going to drive it. We were looking at different planes and transferring from one plane to another, and finally we said, I've never been to Mount Rushmore. I've never been to Yellowstone, so we're going to take a few extra days and see all that. So look forward to that here in a couple weeks, but in the meantime, appreciate tonight's meeting and the candor, and that's all I have. So if there's no other questions, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Alderman Hoffman, is there a second?
Second.
Alderman